Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. Our time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no fight time. Grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now. Let it all go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go.
Evening and welcome to Mountain Bears. I'm of course Aeson, and with me tonight is of course the cubby with the most normally news. Techy-ish, how are you, darlings?
Doing well, doing well. How about you?
Oh, flattered all over the place, a little like about some things. You know, the normal afternoon.
Hey, there you go. Hey, Brenda. Oh, well, it was a good day out. It was a good day out.
It was a great day out.
Yes.
It was, you know, for those that don't know, we try to take Friday out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Save me time, energy, and I don't know, get me out when it's possible. Although the way the numbers are looking, probably next week's not going to be possible.
New. It's not looking good. No.
Right.
But yeah, well, yeah. But we did have a good day out.
Yes.
Got to focus on that part. We did have a good day out.
Right.
So for those of you who've been watching or listening for a while, I'm coming up on 2 years since my neck surgery.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go have imaging done today.
Yeah.
I have to say, I was a little trepidatious about going to get that. Like, I kind of put it off as long as I could because I was kind of like, oh, this is going to be a nightmare. I was in and out in like 15, 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was like ridiculously fast.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess now's the right time to go for medical imaging. Like, that poor girl looked bored.
Right.
Like, she did.
Well, none of that, but that facility we went to is not a long-term, not a quick care. Like, they are just a station house.
Although they looked like they had a lot going on.
Right.
They did. So, yeah, I don't want to knock it like they're just sitting there doing nothing.
Right.
Like, I saw one poor little girl going in. I think she broke her arm. She was a wee little one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I felt so bad for that little kid. Like, she was just like, she just could not move that arm.
Right.
It was like, oh, poor little baby. And just the tears. But, yeah, other than that, I mean.
Right.
So, yeah, I was surprised. I was really, truly shocked.
I was very shocked about the quickness, about the organization. For those that want to know, we went to the Summersville WVU, which Summersville Hospital used to be supremely busy. This looked very, very...
Not so bad.
Not so bad. I mean, not deserted, but interesting to say the least.
Yeah, it was a lot quieter than I would have imagined.
Right.
Though then again, I think that all depends upon what's going on behind the scenes.
Right.
Because we were coming up on the 5 o'clock hour on a Friday. And that basically my interaction told me nothing about like how many people were actually admitted.
Right. Well, I don't think this is an admitting hospital. That's the thing. I think this is a care center.
Okay, so basically they would refer everyone up.
Right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a little smaller than I'm used to.
Yeah. It's a band-aid, patch them up, stabilize them, transport them off.
Like, sew them up for the gunshot wound, or call a helicopter.
Right.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm used to a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Princeton, which is a new WVU property, that one's just a little bit bigger.
Right.
Typically, they can handle anything but like cardiac care. Basically, they just stabilize you and send you out.
Right.
Used to be to either Roanoke or Charleston. I guess now they go north.
Yes.
Way north. But yeah, no, but they could still do like day surgery. They did a fair number of like emergency stuff. They did admitting, labor and delivery, all those lovely things. And not like emergency labor and delivery, like, you went to the gorge and bungee jumped while like, 39 weeks.
Right. And, speaking of Bridge Day.
Hey, Mary.
Hello, Miss Mary. Bridge Day is coming upon us.
It is. So that is coming up, I believe, next month on the 14th?
Yeah, I believe it's the 14th.
At least is what it's scheduled for.
Right.
We were kind of shocked and surprised, but not really, because I'd been saying it, is I think they're going to wait till after Bridge Day. But they did have a local meeting on it as to whether or not to go forward. At least the Bridge Day committee, as I understand it. They decided not to cancel. That's absolutely 100% right there, Brenda. They 100% decided not to cancel. Now we have two different things going on. Two different news stories from two different news sources. Ooh, Shannon got a TINS unit. That is awesome. So, okay, take it away. Which one you want to start with? The healthcare that we're just coming off of, or you want to go with the Fayette County Sheriff?
Let's go to healthcare department for the healthcare first.
Yeah. Well, and Brenda, yeah, it's a huge crowd. They are estimated to bring 100,000 people. 100,000 people
to an area that has maybe 6,000.
Yeah.
On a busy day.
Well, and this is what we try to explain to people, in living here, is that in the winter months, outside that tourist season, it's not really that big of an area.
Right.
It really isn't. Now, we do have a lot of tourists that come through. Then we have the Summit National Reserve and the Boy Scout facilities. So once a year, we get inundated with Boy Scouts and counselors. And then we turn around and Bridge Day hits.
Yeah.
And both of those, to be quite blunt, pretty much terrorize this area.
Yeah. Well, it destroys your stores. It destroys our people. It interrupts things, including weird things like the laundromat.
Yep. The laundromat gets screwed up. Getting through town is next to impossible.
Yeah.
Getting to the other side of the gorge is
that. It ain't happening.
Yeah, because they shut the bridge down to one side with bi-directional traffic.
No, if you have to go to the other side of the river, I have to take you through Amore.
Well, preferably. But I did notice that the last Bridge Day we got to go to is they had bi-directional traffic on one side of the bridge. And that's a little scary.
Yes.
Because, if someone's not honoring that lowered speed limit, that could turn ugly in a heartbeat. Because that's
turn ugly quickly. And there's always at least 2 to 3 deaths, not counting injuries. So your closest medical stations are Plateau Medical Center and Raleigh General.
And then after that would be Summersville, I do believe.
After that would be Bar H and Summersville.
Yeah.
So WVVA is already running a story as hospitals run out of space. Health administrations asked Bridge Day to reconsider.
Yeah. So yeah, citing the fact that COVID-19 has created quite the crisis inside their hospitals, and that situation is only worsening. Um, Terry Harlan made a personal plea to our governor to intervene on Thursday. That we quite simply do not have the bed space should someone get hurt or critically injured.
Yes. We are
Like,
really concerned with hospital capability. We
yes.
are above capacity. Our healthcare workers are stressed beyond belief. This is not a time to bring in 1,000 people or 100,000 people to this area. She added, we are looking for additional ventilators. We can't find beds. Our hospitals are consistently calling to find beds for our patients.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of an argument going though. Because then they turn around and Major General James Hoyer, head of the Interagency Task Force, at least regarding the ventilator issue, cites more than 400 ventilators not in use across the state of West Virginia and more than 50 in stockpile with a request in for even more. 5 of which were delivered to Fayette County this week.
5.
Yeah, 5.
5.
5 more ventilators. But that's not really where the problem is, and that's not really what Terry Harlan was talking about. It's that, quite frankly, if you've never been to Plateau Medical Center, bless its little heart, you could miss it.
Mm-hmm.
It is like literally slammed in between a subway, or no, excuse me, in between an Exxon and what's on the backside of that? I want to say the funeral home, but that's not right.
No, the funeral home used to be across the street, and they moved it down the street. It is between an Exxon and a water tower.
Yeah, it's missable.
It is 60 beds.
Yeah,
whole hospital, 60 beds. They're at capacity. Then we move to Montgomery General, the second diversionable insight movement to anybody from the bridge. They're at capacity at 120 beds. They're in the same situation. They do not have the equipment. They do not have the room. They do not have the beds.
And that's a pretty long drive.
Right.
Then you go to Bar H, Beckley Appalachian Regional Hospital. What's that one?
260, 270.
Yeah.
Now, granted, one wing is for the mentally incapacitated.
Mm-hmm.
They have
a mental health segment.
Right.
But yeah, most of that hospital's capacity is fairly limited.
Yeah, very limited.
Because they're already getting strained. Anytime I've had to go near it, they typically have 4 to 6 ambulances sitting in queue. That's a lot of ambulances sitting. Then we turn around and shooting the complete opposite direction would be Summersville. And we just went there today.
Yeah.
And it's another bless its heart.
Right.
Yeah. It's tiny. I won't say that the helicopter pad's bigger than it, but someone might be tempted to take a tape measure and find out.
Okay, correction. Bar H has publicly open 160 beds.
I was thinking it was around 150, 160. Because I know that it's right there in line with actually Princeton Community, but a little bigger.
And Summersville Medical Center, this is not the WVU location.
Oh.
Has 124 beds.
Okay. So, yeah. Not saying that, like, we're looking for potentially 300 people or more to be injured on Bridge Day.
Right.
It's just that depending upon their capacity right now and how close they are to it,
Right.
That would potentially leave maybe a maximum of like 30 beds.
Right.
100,000 people and 30 incidents requiring medical treatment. I think those odds are pretty high.
Right.
That at least 30 people are going to do something stupid. It's Bridge Day. You have people jumping. Because you have the bungee jump
And the parachute.
And the parachute jump, the glide jumps. Then you just have that many people on a bridge.
Right.
You have food vendors. You have large crowds. You have a lot of walking. Potentially, depending upon the weather, a fair amount of heat. It could turn ugly. And here's the kicker, which, well, no, we'll get to that in the next story. So where are we at?
On average, 30 deaths for every 100,000 jumps.
Well, not all 100,000 will be jumping off the bridge.
No, on average, so we're going to go just deaths alone. On average, 2014, 21 people died due paralyzing. In reality, however, there's only on average 30 deaths for every 100,000 jumps.
Right. But, there's still injuries within that.
Yeah.
It doesn't always run perfectly.
Right. It doesn't always run perfectly. It never runs perfectly. If there's even a mass incident here, let's just say mass incident, we're screwed. They better be bringing in, they're going to have to open up Glen Jean. They're going to have to open up.
Yeah, we would very much be in a very serious condition.
Right.
Unless they can find, honestly, it sounds like they need to set up a field hospital. If they really seriously want to continue forward with this event. I don't know what else to say. Here's the unfortunate side of your event. If you want to continue in 2021 in the middle of a pandemic, because we thought we were getting to the end of a pandemic. No, we're basically somewhere in the middle. Right. Maybe closer to the end than the middle, but we're in the middle.
Right.
But yeah, you're gonna have to make some serious medical offering available.
Right.
It can handle what's going on there. And good luck to you. Because right now hospitals are struggling to find medical personnel, and you're going to set up, a triage center.
Right. Oh, well, I remember, with Jan Care Ambulance, they would actually pull all the ambulance except for minimum skeletal ambulances, meaning they'd park one every 28 miles in direct route and station them to cover those areas while the rest of them are covering Bridge Day.
Yeah.
Okay, and sometimes that's not enough. They're already stressed to the max. I mean, we recently saw 911 center in Mercer County say, "Don't call us. Max capacity. We have nothing we can do." All right. Now the sheriff, which I like our sheriff. Our sheriff's pretty cool. There are some that are idiots. He's actually very well spoken, very intelligent man, very caring about his community. And this is what he says. Considering the decision to keep large-scale events in Fayette County has many up in arms. 100,000 people will be swamping to Fayette County for a well-known Bridge Day event. But with so many people coming into the area, the hospital is at capacity and positivity cases are climbing. Many of our local agencies are asking why. He is asking, if my deputies catch this, I want to know how in the world I am supposed to give back to my citizens safe and secure Fayette County. State police can't do it by themselves. I don't know how many troopers they have here in Fayette County now, but we cover 660 square miles. That's my concern, said Freddie.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially, and then what becomes worse with this
Right.
is, see, what originally came out is they were going to require masks for the event. Now, what the sheriff has said is, with the mask mandate, and this is a direct quote, there's no mandate. We're doing it as Bridge Day Commission, and that's not enforceable.
Right.
So effectively, they're asking sternly
Right.
for you to wear a mask.
Right.
And that's not a direct quote, but he goes on to say there's no law, there's no code that I can find saying that we can enforce it.
Right.
He has no real authority on that one.
Right.
So 100,000 people on a bridge, how many of those are going to potentially figure this out? Or more importantly, now read the news article, unfortunately. Like, it's the downside of being truthful.
Right.
Is, and some people are going to read this and figure it out. Like the between the lines kind of moment of, they can't make you. They can ask like very sternly. They can ask nicely, but they can also ask very sternly. But what do they do?
And he goes on to say, I have deputy sheriffs that their kids, if they catch this, it will kill them. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I have 2 of them, and I can't say, you go stand on Route 60 and watch traffic. I can't do that. So that's my concern, because I have to keep a lookout for my people.
Yeah. Mary's 100% on this one. This Bridge Day 2021 is a high-risk situation. That's the giant takeaway.
Right.
And we knew this going in.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a...
We called this one, but this is not just that. This is bigger than that, because this isn't just one Bridge Day. On average, people begin pouring in on Thursday. They are here till Sunday. And then you have to wait 2 weeks.
Well, in this area, yes, especially. It's 2 weeks at minimum. On a good normal year, for our area to recover. Oh, sorry, you're just talking about the exposures. Yes, it'll be 2 weeks later before we find that out, so we'll be into November.
Right. So we will wait 2 weeks. So I'm going to be waiting 2 weeks at home is where I'm at with this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I ain't going anywhere. You can run the errands.
Yeah. Well, and the reality is that may not even be our best protection.
Yeah.
Because you're talking about 100,000 people hitting this area.
Mm-hmm.
This is not an area built for 100,000 people.
No.
There's only, so many gas stations, so many grocery stores, so many places to stay in the area.
Yeah.
And it literally looks like a plague of locusts. Sorry to, pun not intended, but it already will look like a plague of locusts hit this area. There will be restaurants struggling to serve anything come Monday. There will be gas stations with barren shelves and empty pumps on Monday. There will be a Walmart that looks like a natural disaster hit on Monday. Like, that's how this works.
Right.
You live in the area, you kind of get used to it, and typically Bridge Day is oh, thank God it's over. That Monday, your first thought is, oh, thank God it's over till next year. We just got to wait it out and hunt it out and drive to Beckley and, drive to Somerville.
But with this, I'm talking just COVID alone.
Yeah.
Now, if Jim Justice comes out and does something the 15th of October, he's a day fucking late.
And I think that's when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
That, and unfortunately, is what I've said all along. Is it's going to be October 15th,
Mm-hmm.
a day after Bridge Day, that
Mm-hmm.
we will even think about
Right.
being proactive. And by that point, it's useless.
Right.
You might as well come out on the 15th and say, we're reopening the fairgrounds, free rides.
Mm-hmm.
Because might as well.
Right.
Because you're going to run 100,000 people through Fayette County. There's a large risk there.
Yeah.
Because that's going to basically bring a lot of people that are not normally in our area from West Virginia, as well as a lot of people that are not from West Virginia or ever otherwise in West Virginia, except for this event,
Right.
coming here.
Right.
So they're bringing their problems with them. They're bringing their local statistics with them, and
Mm-hmm.
they will be carrying home what is currently our problem, which is we are leading
Yeah. Once
in
again.
COVID infections.
Right. Once again, West Virginia is leading in COVID transmissibility rates.
Yeah.
Why is it that we as West Virginia lead in the things that we don't want to lead in? Like, I would rather us lead in education. I would rather us lead in, lower poverty risks, better health net safety. No, we got to lead in this crap.
Yeah. Some of it could also be in a very long conversation in a roundabout way, linked back to our history and the mines.
Mm-hmm.
That is a high risk profession. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of the people here are descendants of people who took the risk.
Right. And here's the thing, though. We keep acting like those people. We keep hiring mine bossers to be our governors. That don't
And to run our local businesses.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, yes.
Yeah. It's like, gee, our state slush fund, rainy day fund's about to reach $1 billion.
Yeah.
But we got holes in the road.
Yeah.
Where's the sense in this?
Which, by the way, without getting into an actual news article, there was a fun one floating around Facebook and was in a news article. So any of you in the Charleston area are more than likely familiar, even if you've just been to Charleston in the last few years, with McCorkle Avenue.
Right.
The Piggly Wiggly on McCorkle has changed their sign, their lovely little letter sign, to talk about the embarrassment that McCorkle Avenue is,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact it still has not been fixed. Granted, the state's response is, we're sorry for the delay. The original projects we planned would have basically been useless, would have been a waste of money, because there's a whole other set of projects involving that road. We've combined it into one big project that is going out for bid on October 19th.
Right.
So, yeah.
Which is
I unfortunately go down that road way too often, and Jesus, it sucks.
Mm-hmm. So, in other interesting news,
Mm-hmm.
let me see. Did we cover the big man anti-vaxxers planning a walkout? I think we did.
Yeah, we got that one.
All right. Now, this is weird news. And a warning. So, I know we have all done this. We're in a drive-thru. We go to take our change from the scared little person at the window. Their hands are shaking. They drop our change. Oh, honey, that's no big deal. I'll just open my car door, reach down, and get it.
Mm-hmm. Well, not to mention how many times, like, I've dropped my card, I have dropped sauce packets, I have dropped everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm the world's worst for it. It's not the person on the other side of the window. It's usually me.
Okay.
And I have done it. I have opened that car door,
Mm-hmm.
And I have reached my hand down there and tried my very level best because it's my debit card. Like
Right.
sauce packets, I'll be like, okay, I'm not trying that hard.
Right.
Like, you can just toast that off later.
Right.
But yeah, the debit card, the
Yeah.
yeah.
So the Vancouver emergency medical system was activated, and the Vancouver police was called to a McDonald's in Vancouver,
Mm-hmm.
where a man opened the door to get something he dropped from his window while paying,
Mm-hmm.
setting off a scene of tragic events. Opening the
Yes.
door, leaning over, the car rolled forward. The door hit part of the restaurant, and he was pinned between the door and the car frame.
Which effectively tells me the car was still in gear.
Yes.
I will say that I had a former boss that actually scared me out of leaving my car in gear in drive-throughs.
Mm-hmm.
She had the worst habit of waiting or of working very, 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 very late and going to the drive-through tired.
Mm-hmm.
And more than once, she woke up when her foot slipped off the brake pedal and
Mm-hmm.
the car lurched forward.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me, like, especially when I'm at the window, I always put the car in park.
Right.
Like, I just can't not anymore.
Right.
Like, it's very hard for me to leave the car in gear because I'm like, I know me.
Right.
I will get distracted. My foot will fall.
Right. But they tried to revive him. There was no reviving because his neck. I'm going to say the man's neck was crushed. Name was not released. Lesson: do not leave your car in gear. Secondly, it isn't worth your life is worth more than $1
Or a debit card.
or a debit card.
As inconveniencing as that is,
Right.
sometimes you just have to accept.
Right. And this is a common weird problem. There was a woman in Canada in 2012 who suffered serious injuries in just about the same situation when her foot slipped off the brake and the car rolled forward. In 2018, a motorist opened the door in Jack in the Box in St. Louis and got to get his food. He tried to back up, but the accelerator, while doing so, hit a tree and was pinned between the car and a tree. He did not survive. So this is a freak accident. Now, granted, if you are in Vancouver, Canada, please, if you happen to have been at the McDonald's there, you might want to check your dash cams. Because the police are looking for videotape of this.
And that is Vancouver, British Columbia, not Vancouver, Washington there, Mary.
Yep.
Just to clarify. But yeah, it's a horrible freak accident.
Right.
I mean, it really is.
Right.
But it's so flippin' simple because it's one of those things, your first impulse.
Mm-hmm.
To some degree, we're all sort of like the kid with the ball.
Right.
When we're in a drive-through.
Right.
It's like, it's more important, and it's like, no, it's not.
Right.
It's not. But yeah, you're very welcome there, Mary. I just, be very, 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 very careful. Always, 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 always make sure you put the car in park.
Yes. All right. So apparently there's somebody gone missing. Brian Loreen?
Brian Laundrie. I believe that's the pronunciation there. That's the guy with the missing fiance.
Uh-huh.
Who was a YouTuber. They were traveling across country in a van. There was a little bit of there was like some video that came out of a police interaction where the police, sent her with the van, put him in a hotel for the night.
Right.
Then not long after that, they were vlogging their whole trip.
Right.
And then she's disappeared. They were trying to. There was a lot of hoopla, I guess is the best word I can use here, about the fact that Brian would not talk to police about
Right.
what happened. Now he's missing. So says Mary. We don't have news
Oh,
articles out. So,
according to a TikToker,
mm-hmm.
there's the main article. Um, according to the TikToker, and I'll send this to you. It's an insider thing. He's in the Great Tantinas. There you go.
Okay, let me get that up. Yeah, so Gabby Petito.
Right.
Yeah, that's the missing YouTuber. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gabby is 22.
Mm-hmm.
She's been missing since at it looks like August. No, that's not it. She was reported missing on September 11th. 10 days after Brian Landry returned to North Point, Florida in their van without her.
Right.
So yeah, this story's been gaining a lot of attention. I don't know what's going on with this one. Like, just watching the police body cam footage,
Mm-hmm.
She seems like she needed a lot more crisis intervention than spend a night in a hotel room away from him.
Right.
Oh. So, yeah, apparently rumors he left the country.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, she was running van life travel blog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting because this TikToker saying that he's hitchhiking in the Grand Tantinos, which I'm not sure where that is.
Grand Tetons,
Yeah.
I believe is the correct pronunciation there.
Thank you.
Um,
Wyoming. Paid her, offered her $200 for a rod.
not sure there, but yeah, it's been a lot going on.
Mm-hmm. This is one that's not made my radar. Of course, we've been a little ran over with radar here lately.
Hey, Ashley. Yeah, there's a lot of weird stories.
Yeah.
Like excuse me, guys. I've hit that part of my allergy season.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a lot of weird stories. A lot of things are just like, what's going on? I don't understand. That one just gets weirder. Like, the more I've have like read into it, the weirder that one gets.
Right.
Like, I don't know what to make of it. Like, I'm almost tempted to be like, do you want to treat it as a hot topic? And
I don't, because there's FBI involvement.
Okay, fair enough.
And as y'all know, and I will reinstate this, I will not cover missing people's cases live on air. I will not talk with the family directly. If it is an active case, the officer that is over the case, I will happily provide free consultation to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Sandy's like all fooey. I had a phone call and missed out.
Well, you
want the replay?
Well, no, you can give her the rundown on why I'm making this statement.
Okay, so we've been talking about the Oh, I gotta find her name again because I keep forgetting it. Gabby Petito, the YouTuber doing the van life vlog situation, and the now missing, or more importantly, perhaps fled, Brian Landry case, um, which has had a lot going on.
Right.
And so, yeah, Aeson was pointing out this is an active one, and despite the fact, and because it involves a missing person, possibly a deceased person, and police involvement already, as a policy, not going to get involved on that one, and that's fair. That's fair.
Right.
I I think, though, I do want to say, I think my bigger question wasn't even like, where is she at, or will they find her alive, or whatever. I'm just going, are you, maybe more so, like, is she, everything I keep seeing is she's coming, like, and especially the police body cam footage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she was, to me, came across as she was in a lot more of a mental health crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And like disillusioned boyfriend upset her. She's, just really emotional about it.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like a lot more was going on.
Right.
But I can understand that one.
Yeah. I think there's a lot more going on there. I think there's a lot more in that whole situation. I think that we never really know what's going on in relationships that's on this blog type thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you're making a video. Everyone smiles for that.
Right.
Which, by the way, another, I believe, YouTube or TikTok or one of the video platform celebrities' mom just got in trouble for taking a video, and like her son is absolutely bawling, and she told him to pose. Like, she's taking a lot of flack for that. Like, but that's the kind of thing, is it's like, you have life,
mm-hmm.
and then someone turns on a video camera and it's like, okay, everyone say cheese now.
No, this is a family vlogger, and we have problems with family vloggers.
Oh,
yeah. She adopted a puppy, and it got parvo, of course. And she's doing a vlog, and they're, trying to get the thumbnail.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, no, you got to be more, you got to look more terrified. You got to look more teary. Oh, put your hand up over your face, but show your eyes and turn your head. Come closer, come closer. And it's like, this child's already terrified. It is not a time for a Trisha Paytas.
Now we're critiquing his response?
Yes.
Okay, I took it the other way. That was one I didn't get to dig in on too much. I just took it the other way, and I was like, back out, back out, back out. I don't want to read this.
Right.
That's where I went with that one. It was bad enough the way it went in my head.
It's just easier, instead of reading some of the blogs, to go over and watch like Viewer's Voice, because he covers shit pretty well. There's another one, because it's like the Trisha Paytas cases going on right now. Yeah, sued by Ethan Klein of H3. It's an interesting case. But there's a lot of stuff coming out about what was going on with frenemies. It's a lot of stuff going on. Now, that's going to be her future brother-in-law. So that'll be how it is there.
Okay, so meanwhile, in other stories, and I know we've got more to cover, but just popped into my head. So where is Brittany? Is Brittany in the deep freeze for a little bit?
Brittany is not in a deep freeze. Okay. We will not know what really goes on until September 29th. We have currently, there is the father going, well, why don't we do, in the conservatorship, maybe she doesn't need the conservatorship now after 13 years, after her former federal prosecuting attorney is like, yeah, we're going through these case lines line by line. And then another organization has filed a amnesty brief as friend to the court,
Mm-hmm.
And that means that they're not involved in that case, but they have a legal opinion on the case,
Mm-hmm.
stating everything that is wrong with this case, i.e., Brittany has never had the option to hire counsel at any time.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't stuck with legal appointed counsel. That she was never notified of this. It's a lot of stuff.
Right.
Because she should have been able to defend herself, hire her own lawyer at the start of this 13 years ago. But because they didn't want Sam Lefty to find out about this, this is the issues going on here.
Yeah.
So we got, Jamie over here going, oh, well, maybe we just need to end it and you don't need to look at me anymore.
Yeah, please don't look at the numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Please don't run a forensic accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And we got
Like,
Brittany's lawyer going, you need not be conservative anymore.
But pause for a second, though. Wouldn't it be a hell of something to be court ordered to pay the forensic accountant that puts your ass in prison?
Well,
wouldn't it be a hell of something to be ordered to write the check to buy the time of the forensic accountant that will end up putting you behind bars?
Right.
Into your own form of custody.
Now, Judge Penny has refused USA Today remote access program, and that is now being appealed because it should have to be. And it's going to the Supreme, to the appellate court, which she done that early, so it gives her time, so she doesn't have to make the decision to allow or not allow, which is a good thing. But this could have consequences for all of LA County if the court that normally not only says that, yes, we will allow you public access, you can this type of thing, you can normally order a copy of the tape from this court.
Well, because theoretically it's a public proceeding, but I could certainly understand. This is borderlining family court, isn't it? Like, I know it's a civil case.
Even though it is still public.
Well, but what I'm saying, though, is this almost at this level,
right,
almost feels like family court. Like a divorce proceeding, a child custody proceeding. Like,
those are all public. By constitutional right, you have the ability to go and sit in that courtroom.
I thought that
that's how Judge Judy. No, that's how Judge Judy got so famous.
Yeah.
Is she had cameras in her courtroom for a local news story, and it picked up to be major. So it is constitutional matter.
Oh, probate court.
Yeah,
which is typically not a court, I think, that is used to having lots of cameras in it.
Well, they're not used to having defendants even speak for themselves either.
Well, that's true too.
Like this conservative is so fucking hogwashed and tied up. I'm gonna put this way, and Joe and maybe a few insiders will get it. This court case is so fucked up, I'm questioning where my family is in it.
Good question. Like, have you checked the family tree? Is there a Britney Spears somewhere in it?
I don't know.
Well, but I mean, though, it is. But generally speaking, probate court isn't all that interesting. Like, you go through some stuff. There's usually some family drama. There's usually, people saying, oh, he told me this. There's a different will. There's a dispute over who gets what. Documents weren't updated like the will was, but the beneficiaries weren't, or vice versa. Beneficiaries here, but no updated will. Divorces and remarriages have occurred, and like
Well, that in conservatorships, it's usually a debate over, no, my mom wants to live with me and I need to be paid $2,000 a month to take care of her. No, my mom was going to live with over at Gray Manor and we were going to pay $5,000 to take care of her.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we're normally at with this.
Yeah, well, and again, it's typically, it's not necessarily all that interesting. Like, now, if you like a good, like, car accident,
Mm-hmm.
it's probably interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But generally speaking, most people are like, no, it's not that interesting. But when you bring Britney Spears into it, and the whole
any other star or someone with money into it, it gets interesting. It's like the whole oh, the lawyer and the hustler. I mean, the housewife and the hustler.
Oh, I have no idea.
It's a real. It's the big lawyer. We've talked about this case.
Oh, okay. I missed that one.
Anyhow.
Was the Patterson?
No.
Okay, never mind. Now you have to look it up.
Girardi's.
Oh, do what?
The Girardi's.
Oh, okay. I still have nothing. Yeah.
Erica Girardi and her husband. She was the 48. Her husband and her had 40 years separate on them.
Yeah.
He was the big lawyer in California that fought these big huge suits.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out he wasn't paying a dime to his clients on these big huge suits and using the money, and now they're having to go and separate the assets. And what's interesting is this week they started selling off stuff from the law offices, like coat
basically Anna Nicole Redux.
Yes, except he's still living.
Oh. Ooh.
And now been placed under conservatorship of his brother. She's trying to divorce his ass, but since it all got pulled into two bankruptcy cases, one for the business and one for the personal, she can't divorce him.
Well, more so can't finalize because we don't know what he has to order you to pay or order him to pay you, because she's filing as, I'm just a housewife.
Right, but
I don't have any marketable skills. And I'm not making fun of housewives. It's just usually in that scenario,
but there's $10 million owed out to customers.
Right.
That has to come out of this.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is there's no way to finalize a divorce in that to figure out any kind of alimony, or even if there's a prenup, there's no way to figure out any kind of settlement because you don't know what his true assets are.
Right, because he has none.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Depending. On paper he could look broke, but then you factor in all the whatever.
Well, they have
cash out all the properties.
On court case decisions.
Ooh, he was high finance.
Yeah.
Oh, and well, see though, Mary, that's kind of what we're talking about. This isn't your ordinary dude embezzled, commingled funds, mismanaged client money, which is already a disbarment.
Right.
But then there's a conservatorship with him, and then.
Right.
There's a lot of Donald Trump-esque high finance.
Right.
In which you robbed Peter to pay Paul to bribe Mary.
Mm-hmm.
And now chase the rabbit hole to figure out who actually gets what. basically everyone's jockeying in the bankruptcy to figure out who's first.
Right. All the way back to the Rudy Gomez case, and the Rudy Gomez case is that case where a family literally got their house got blown up because of poor gas line maintenance, killed like 37 people. They got like 4.5 no, they got like $56 million. And I think at this point they've recovered like $1 million because he was supposed to invest in for them the rest of the money. The investment was his law firm.
Well, effectively, it wasn't even that, or more than likely, it wasn't even that.
Mm-hmm.
It was more than likely he created an investment with quotation marks, and effectively he was spending client money while using other client money to basically installment pay, a pyramid scheme.
Right.
Like Bernie Madoff level, kind of crazy.
But Erica and Tom Girardi are the names. The documentary is called The Hustler and the Housewife. It's very interesting. He now supposedly has Alzheimer's and dementia, but up until this was filed, he was actually teaching for the bar, providing class, lawyer CEOs for the bar. And I'm like, something shady, something real shady.
Not necessarily. There are a lot of cases of highly educated individuals that are early to mid stages of Alzheimer's, and especially later in life, not early onset Alzheimer's, that highly intelligent people can, so to speak, fake it and make it through many mental status exams and cover up their problems until way later in the disease.
Right.
It doesn't mean that if you start to notice right off the bat that, you weren't intelligent to start with,
right,
as in your family member. It's just there are cases of people that just managed to get past that the things they were doing and the way they lived their life didn't draw attention.
Right.
To the fact that, okay, something's wrong here.
Right.
And you've pointed out you've had patients in the nursing home. One in particular was an accountant. And accountancy she could do.
No, she was a store owner. So she knew how to do books. And her checkbook, she'll come right down. But he's not even able to understand court proceedings according to them. And it's like, but 2 weeks ago, he was teaching future lawyers before he got caught up in all this.
I will also point out that at Princeton Community Hospital, I know of a situation in which a doctor was forced into retirement, mostly because they finally figured out that he had some form of dementia going on. When a guy went in for a very simple surgery, more like I believe the term is phimosis, when foreskin doesn't retract properly, and the surgeon amputated the whole member. That's when they figured out that something was horribly, horribly wrong. Like, this was an active surgeon who was working and doing surgery and seemed to have his whole life together, and then all of a sudden he made a very serious mistake, which was the first clue anyone had that something's wrong here. And I think that physician, if I remember the rest of the story correctly, pretty much very quickly ended up in care, because that was, while it was effectively he had held it together and was getting later in disease stage. So by the time the dam broke and it became clear and obvious something's wrong, then when they realized what was wrong, it's like, oh God,
Right. Adult Mary. Well, that's like, the whole reason
Adult,
that
yeah.
they even count sponges and stuff is over here at Appalachia. No, it was at Raleigh Gen.
Mm-hmm.
A doctor was doing surgery and left a sponge and a wash in a man, and a sponge and his watch in a man.
Oh. Whew.
This is why I don't trust doctors.
Oh, and horrible things can happen in any profession, and especially if you have some kind of serious, either acute mental issue or a long-term issue that has suddenly become apparent.
Yep. And apparently this is one of those watches that made noise. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
not
Not fun. All right, so here comes to the fun part of the show. We actually wanted to cover some positive news. Poverty is down.
Mm-hmm.
Poverty fell last year due to the infusion of the government aid, according to new data from the Census Bureau. Relief payments brought 11.7 million people out of poverty. Unemployment insurance kept 5 million from falling into it. The government measures poverty using measures called Supplemental Poverty Measures, or SMP, which, according to, which incorporates food, housing assistance, and in 2022 covered relief checks. For the first time, supplemental rates 9.1 is lower than the official poverty line of 11.4. What does that mean? I think it shows the importance of safety nets, and said Linda Fox, a statistics chief at the Census Bureau. What we see different in the trends with the official poverty rate and the S&P is that it really impacts our tax system and the impact of our non-cash benefits. The gains, however, may be short-lived as many COVID relief packages have expired. What's your thoughts on this?
Well, I would also caution, because Mary's like, hooray, prosperity to all deserving folks. And it's like, well, you got to take some things into consideration. The biggest problem that glares from the article is that where we set that poverty threshold at.
Right.
Because when you're talking about we kept people from falling into poverty, almost 11.7 million, we're talking about keeping people, a family of 4, at or above $26,000. That means there were 11.7 million people that would equate out to having less than 26,000 for a family of 4.
Right.
That's scarier to me.
Right.
That's more frightening to me. That
right.
One, the bar is low. Like, it's off the screen for where we've set poverty level, because I don't know how you survive as a family of 4 on 26,000 in 2021.
Right.
First of all. Second of all, I'm more I find the bigger problem is 11.7 million people were set to drop below that before that money. Now, I'm glad
they're already there. You're getting numbers mixed up.
Effectively, we're already there.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that's a lot of people.
Yep. Ashley,
Ashley, I did, but we got a little distracted there.
The other thing, which is only one line in this article, and it pisses me off. Women continue to make 83 cents on the dollar compared to men, unchanged from 2019.
But they've gotten a raise since when it started.
Oh, I know.
That's probably the worst part. Is, it's improving.
Yeah, by a fucking hair, first of all. And then I think it depends on the industry. I really, really do. Now, granted, these industries, they don't cover my industry. They don't cover other industries like the makeup industry. That's what probably brings it up.
Well, and then you have the fact that you do have like the disparity of
Right.
and just the general fact that more typically,
Right.
at least statistically speaking, women end up taking lower wage, lower paying, lower earning, less education required jobs than men.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's the way it works out. I'm not saying they choose it. I'm saying that's how the numbers skew.
Right. And they're also the ones that are made to feel guilty when asking for a raise. That's bullshit. Ask for a raise, demand a raise. Every 6 months, get a raise. Lean in and say, I'm doing more. I want paid more.
Well, and that's a large part of why low-paying jobs specifically will recruit women is because, again, statistically,
right,
women are generally less assertive, are less likely to ask for raises, are usually less likely to argue with a employer, and are more likely to continue working despite not receiving or only receiving a minimal raise.
Right.
It's very exploitative. That's the only word for it, is there are employers who specifically hire women to exploit them for low labor cost.
Well, and that's what we're seeing out of the healthcare industry, because a lot of nurses are leaving. And here's why they're leaving their hospital. Because they can become a traveling nurse, be paid 3 times more, and work at the same hospital in their same job.
Yeah. But I've seen businesses like that that do specifically that. Right. They like hiring women because they're cheaper. Point blank, they will tell you that.
Right.
We mostly hire women because they're cheaper. It's like, good God, the problems with that sentence.
Right.
But all right, we ready for Ashley's question?
Let's take Ashley's question.
All right, Ashley, 82696, is the planning for my trip going to be harder than the trip itself? And do you see issues with Alamo tomorrow and me renting a car?
All right, so I just had to pull angel cards on this, and Shanti says it's going to be a smoother ride. Uriel says, don't get emotional. And Rosa says, make sure to take time for the children. So do I think that planning for the trip will be harder? No. Do I think that paperwork needs to be detailedly reviewed? Yes. Do I think that you need to keep your emotions in check? Oh, yeah, honey. Wear your good shoes. Put your eyes on fleek, your nails on fleek, and be like, my car, give me the keys. I'm tired of waiting for your asses. Let's move, Alamo. Enterprise just across the street. They love me there.
There you go. So hopefully that will be a wonderful trip, though.
Yes.
Yeah. And a whole lot better than the last time I rented a car.
Don't even tell me that bullshit story.
I know. Well, the actual car I rented, that was easy enough. The car I was supposed to have been able to rent on the way back on that trip, not so much.
Right.
That was a nightmare.
Right.
So I will say, if you're renting locally, it's usually easier. If you're renting at a remote location, to get back to local, and especially attached to an airport, those locations are generally more problematic. Just FYI to anyone watching, if you want an easier time renting a car, rent from your local, return to your local. Even if you got to pay to park it for a week, it's going to be easier and less problematic than trying to rent from the airport. The airports will get you every time. They don't play.
Right.
They don't know you. They don't care about you. They don't go to church with your grandma.
Right.
All right. Oh, and Mary points out the pink collar ghetto of work for females. Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right, now let's take Mary's question and let's talk about some new developments around here.
All right, so Mary, 112857. I'm getting emails, vetted recruiters for work, legacy, and new tech. Something is nagging me about getting my name cleared with a certain Fortune 1000 company. I need to clear my name vis-a-vis a lawyer with their legal department. Your insight?
Why bother? It's going to aggravate you. It isn't going to matter.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So, yes, this is anniversary weekend for me and Joe.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes.
So, we've been together a while now. So I thought I'd ask for your tips because we done a video and it disappeared. Like it never got uploaded. None.
Oh, I know. Well, okay, all the things that went wrong for that poor video.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have time to edit it, and then when we did have time to edit it, I think that was when the laptop crashed, and so the video, like, literally got destroyed.
Right.
Yeah.
But, so, one, what's your tips for dating a psychic?
Oh, there's a few. One, I would say, like, hang back on that. Like, don't necessarily think through all the hype really hard. Like, don't expect Miss Cleo, or any of the other like TV personality. Like, they, like, don't necessarily expect to get the person that they cast in a role for a TV movie and there's a psychic in it. Like, don't expect that. You're definitely not getting the little woman from Poltergeist.
Right.
I always get those two movies confused, Poltergeist and The Exorcist. I don't know why. I wish it would fix in my head. But I do that with a few movies.
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, you're not getting that. I will pretty much guarantee you're not getting that. Typically, it's a lot more normal than that. Like, you don't get creepy, spooky, like, all that all the time. You get some of that, but not, like, it's not all the time.
Right.
Okay. Expect to do a lot of events. Expect to have a lot of weird conversations. You will have plenty of those.
Mm-hmm.
An exceptional number of those.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think of others. I have one more, but I would almost want to talk to you about it before I say it out loud.
Say it.
All right. I will say the most interesting thing, and it's not just you. It's not just you. It's all of y'all. For a group of people, and especially the astrology-based ones, for a group of people who sit here and spend a lot of time telling other people, oh, watch out for Mercury in retrograde, and this was what's going to happen, so be careful about this, and all those things. I've noticed there is a tendency that you can say it and then walk through the rest of your life. Like, that information just got left on the desk.
No, I just know that Mercury and retrograde both hit in our charts early. So therefore it becomes early. So therefore it reflects to us earlier. So we can avoid that by doing X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, great. So Mercury and retrograde's on the 26th. Well, looking at our natal charts, it technically is in our first house. So that means it's going to be at least 2 weeks early. So, the day I wanted to kill people. Oh, the day before where he wanted to kill people, because it's like our Mercuries are right on top of each other. Yeah, that was our Mercury in retrograde.
We did. We literally earlier this month had back-to-back days of I hate people as a group in entirety. And now Brenda saw this, and I think Ashley may have as well. For me, it was a trip to the grocery store. And it was supposed to be this trip that, like, I have like 30 minutes I need to go to the grocery store and I need to pick up prescriptions, or more importantly, I need to pick up prescriptions. But it's at a grocery store, so of course, in my head, there's a couple of things I need to grab, and then it turned into this whole chaos. And by the time I got home, I literally one more thing, and it's like, this is how I'm going to get a felony.
Welcome to experiencing your Mercury in retrograde. Welcome to I was born doing a Mercury in retrograde, so this is my normal time. I'm able to function just fine through this. It's all y'all crazy people that can't deal with it. Yeah. So no, I use it. I just use it differently.
Okay. Well, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But then there's other people that are going through this differently.
Mm-hmm.
And I have noticed that sometimes there's like that moment is like, weren't we just talking about this like a couple of weeks ago?
Uh-huh.
Like, could you just like not be ready to kill people right now?
No.
Like, give them some space. Like, understand they're struggling.
Uh-huh.
Like, they're struggling. Like, you told them they were going to struggle.
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying, I see it, and it, like, not just you, and not, like, you're the worst one at it. Not even by a long shot. But I've noticed it over and over and over, and there are way worse people at it, that they will sit there and give the astrology report, and then it's like, in one ear and out the other.
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying.
I know.
You asked.
So what are we doing for our anniversary?
Well, apparently we're driving up early for a class you'll be teaching.
Yes,
I'm
having the in-person class on Sunday with my Wicca 101s and my Wicca 102s. So we're driving up a day early so that I can scout out the park I'll be at and, make some bases there. And then I'll probably take some calls and readings, and we'll do dinner. We done dinner tonight at a fabulous place.
Oh, yeah. He has found the Ichiban.
Yes.
Oh.
And, as far as anniversary gifts, we done something that you advised against, but we done it anyhow.
I got to say, and again, for those of you out there, I apologize, but this has been like a year and a half or more ago. I am pretty sure. We spent a lot of time as MVNO cellular customers. MVNOs are basically resellers of major carrier services. So basically they buy or they form a contract where they agree to lump sum buy services from, say, AT&T. And then they resell it. So that's your Straight Talks, your Crickets, your Boost, I believe. There's a lot of different MVNOs.
Right.
There's 4 major carriers, if I remember correctly. So yeah, Credo is a lovely example. They're actually a wonderful example, Mary, because Credo actually uses their cellular reselling to support causes. So it's cellular for a cause, I believe, is their slogan. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mary, but I think that's it. So anyway, we were big, and most of these services are prepaid. I was sticking by it. It had really worked out since 2010 for me. So nearly a decade I had been an MVNO-based customer. Net10 is another one. That's who I was with originally when I left AT&T originally. Because I was sitting there going, I'm not spending $150 a month on a contract. I'm done. It's too much. I can't do this. And I've highly recommended it since because the cost savings were there. I will say that's it took a few years, obviously, but the carriers are getting it now. They have quit taking on this idea that the contract gravy train of getting people to spend ridiculous amounts of money for cellular service, just for cellular service, when other companies were offering it for $30 and $40 a month, those days are gone. Now, granted, that means they've reworked some things. It's not, one, we didn't get smacked with like you have great credit, your deposit's only like $1,000.
Right.
We didn't get hit with that, but at the same time, it breaks it up a little different on like paying for phones, paying for different add-ons. It is more add-on heavy.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that, but on the service side,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of massive improvements.
Right.
In terms of what you're actually getting in those plans now. They're actually getting better than the prepaid plans have been.
Right. And the service is better. I tested the service today. I'm very, very happy with the service and the way it is. All right. So what the dickens is Mercury in retrograde? Mercury is a planet of communication. They deal with technology. They do all that. So retrograde is when it appears to go backwards in the sky. So you got to understand magnetism and gravity.
Yeah.
Magnetism or vibration is the vibration that Mercury puts out, deals with communication and technology and contracts, and now it's even picked up because our banking is now electronic. Mm-hmm. So let's say it's sending a normal signal, everything's happy, it's sending that vibration to you, you're used to that vibration, you like that cool wind of Mercury in retrograde just blowing at you. Well, instead of it giving a cool wind, it's now blowing freaking fire at you and fucking everything up. Like, people don't understand people, arguments occur, checks suddenly go missing, things get lost in the mail, all this other stuff.
I think you could even say the worst aspects get intensified in a retrograde, especially.
Right.
Like, whatever, like, you're like, okay, you're really good at this, but then these are the things you got to watch out for. Take that list of things you got to watch out for and, like, expect that to become, oh, no, it's going to get worse.
Right.
Like, you're usually, like, this bad at it. You're going to be, like, up here.
Mm-hmm. So, that's a Mercury in retrograde. Now, I was born during a retrograde, so my native energy is Mercury being an idiot, communication being terrible, people not paying attention to things, people not being detailed-oriented on stuff. So that makes me hypersensitive to that. So that's my natural. So I'm able to pivot through most of the Mercury in retrograde energy much better. Mm-hmm. Kind of like if you're from Texas, the heat we have here in West Virginia is nothing to you. You actually think it's quite cold.
Maybe. I don't know. I spent a lot of time in North Carolina. The heat down there, like, I know native North Carolinians are just like, it's not the heat, it's the humidity. And they say this like children of the corn. They really do. Mm-hmm. And they're not even breaking a sweat. I'm over here, I'm just like, I'm dying. And they're like, oh, bless your heart. Which, not a good Southern phrase. But bless your heart, it's like February. You're gonna die, is what they're saying.
Yep, Sandy, it's probably why you had a meltdown on Saturday. And Brenda, to answer your question, no, my evil streak comes from me just being a bitch. And even being a petty bitch at it.
Hey, Amy.
Hello, Amy, darling.
Hey.
So, what did we get for our anniversaries?
Well, we now have matching Samsung Galaxy Note 20 Ultra 5Gs. So, yeah. And this is a almost 1-year-old phone, I do believe. It may be a few days over 1 year since it was released. We did go with the older phones because if you've heard us talk about it, we're not liking the new flagship Samsung. Like, I think you're going to see a lot of sales of like the S20, the S21, even. You're going to see a lot of sales of the Notes. Even the Note 10 is still a good phone.
Mm-hmm.
Because actually, in looking at the specs, there are legitimate improvements over the Note 10 on the Note 20. But and they're nice improvements. But even the Note 10 has some nice specs in comparison. He is doing readings.
Yeah, August 21st of 2020
20.
is when
Yeah.
the Ultra came out.
Yeah, because Samsung for 5 minutes has decided
Mm-hmm.
we're going to understand the numbering.
Mm-hmm.
And just as we begin to understand it and think we got it, they're going to change it, just so you know.
Right.
That is the one thing I really hate about Samsung. I will put that out there.
Right.
They have generally made really good product. I will say the Fold thing they need to get over real quick till it gets better. But they generally make really good product. Their naming convention for shit
Right.
is absolutely ridiculous. And every time you think you got it figured out and you know, like, okay, this was the 10, the next one will be the 20? And then, okay, so you're expecting, like, the next one's going to be the 21, and then they may do that. And then they'll turn around and be like, it's going to be the Z3 or something. It's like,
Amy, on this show, you have to ask the question with a birth date.
yes, month, day, and year. And he'll be happy to whip it out for you.
But no, so this was our anniversary present. Is the perfect techie husband present.
Mm-hmm.
It is a wonderful psychic present, but it's a bigger lesson for advisors. Invest in your equipment. Always invest in your equipment. Get the top of the line. The Note 20 is the highest note out there. It's designed for business. The SkyTech that we're now at now is the top of the line right now. Next year it may be different, and the machine will change.
Well, moreover, and we've gone through this.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, do you feel like some candor?
Sure.
Okay. When we met, you were very much like very frugal
Mm-hmm.
with how you spent for your business, how you spent on yourself. Like, you were, very much like, what's your cheapest phone? What's your cheapest plan? What's your cheapest computer?
Mm-hmm.
Bare bones, get me so I can work.
Right.
Was the mindset. And through our time with each other, I am a big proponent of, what do you do for a living?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is this a tool to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Invest.
Yeah.
Please invest.
Right.
Like, there was no way in hell my father, a construction worker, was going to go to the dollar store and buy tools. That was his business. It was construction. We don't buy tools, and I still have trouble buying, cheap tools. And I won't for my business.
Right.
I may find good deals on tools, but I won't buy stuff that, tears up.
Right.
Like, I have to use this for business. I'm spending the money for business.
Right.
And part of my business is very much internet, web-based. I really, am in the same boat of, my business is dependent upon my phone in a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Not only that, but in the years that we've been together, the networks have changed. Changed drastically.
Oh, yeah. Well, because when we first got together, it was a phone line.
Right.
Some form of a phone line. Don't care what kind of phone line it is. It can be a landline. It can be a voice over IP line. We don't really love those, but it can be. Or, the cheapest cell phone plan on the planet. as long as you can take calls.
Right.
And a phone that can take calls.
Right.
You could have, honestly, if it would have been supported by any network, been sitting here working off of a Motorola StarTAC for all they cared.
They didn't care as long as the calls got through.
Yeah.
Now, I'm doing video, I'm doing chat, I'm doing apps, I'm doing cell phone videos.
Yeah.
So, my business in itself in the time we've just been together has doubled and tripled on the demand of technology.
Yeah. Well, and then even in the beginning, though, upgrading on the computer front actually had a massive impact on the business.
Right.
Because lo and behold, high system activity at the time, and we're not 100% if that's still the case, but we definitely knew then in the beginning, high system activity, i.e. the ability to game, actually increased the way that the company saw him.
Right.
They saw him as being sitting there active, ready for customers, ready to do something, ready to work. As crazy as that sounds, that boost, not a little, but that boost of system activity from gaming, of all places, was
I totally forgot that. Yes, I also do readings in Second Life. So if you're in Second Life, look at my username, Aeson Knight. I'm Aeson Knight on every system out there. If you have a social media, you should look at Aeson Knight because I'm there. Follow me. Yes. I'm really wanting to build my TikTok so I can do TikTok lives there. We are like 800 followers from me being able to do that. And then I can do lives and do more free readings like this. All right, so let's take Ashley. Ashley, yes, it'll be a smooth trip. Shanti told you that. That it was going to be a smoother ride. All right, let's take a look at Miss Amy.
All right, Amy, 122686. Am I working towards the correct path?
Well, tonight we're using Angel cards, so let's take a look here.
All right.
All right, so first up is Omega. Omega says, victory to your desires are coming to fruition. Keep up the good work. Then we have Crystal, who says, have faith and hope. There's something on horizons you aren't seeing yet. Carissa says, you are at the end of a cycle. Mourn in and move forward. And Flora says, a new psychic or spiritual experience is coming up. Let it move forward.
Oh, yeah. And going back to comments real quick, Mary says, snap-on tools for construction and skilled trades. Same philosophy for tech professionals. Yeah. There's a scary amount of overlap. I mean, there's some things I can skimp on. Like, I can have a cheap drill. I can have a cheap saw. Like, the amount of time, effort, and energy I will ever put into cutting, like, drywall is, like, part of my career. Or drilling a hole through a floor. I can have cheap tools on that regard. But, yeah, there's other tools. The amount of money I spend even hurts my own brain sometimes. But it's like, I really have to have it.
Right.
Like, this is the business.
Right.
But yeah. And Mary, Amy, you're very welcome. Oh, Mary has another question.
I bought a happy anniversary card. Should I send it to A or J and their spouses, obviously? I would do J, definitely.
All righty. There we go.
All right. So there's that. Let's see. We will be back on Tuesday and taking your things then. I will be taking readings all weekend. The schedule is open. Patreon members will be having their chat coming up here soon. That'll be on the 27th.
Ooh, Ashley wants to book a Second Life reading.
Well, you got to come into Second Life.
Do you have a Second Life account, Ashley? Like, I want to know now. I have, like, I'm high. Like, how old's your avatar? Like, I have questions. Like, now I'm starting to wonder, like, have we crossed paths?
Uh-huh. Well, and that's been some of the fun things with dating a techie is you built me a Second Life table.
Oh, thanks, Amy.
Yeah.
I did. You have a reading table that is very cool. It's the, help me out, Wheel of the Year?
Yes, Wheel of the Year.
Okay. I know the imagery. I just don't always know the... No puppy visits tonight. Puppies are behaving. No rain outside. Yay.
Hey.
So, yeah, but no, build him a table. He has... I even built you a box of your coffee.
You built me a lot of things in Second Life. But no, that's something we enjoy jointly. And if you want to book a Second Life reading, you have to look me up in Second Life.
Yep. This is a lovely place. I know Second Life takes a lot of grief for not really being all that much of a game. And it isn't. It's an alternate, like, reality. But at the same time, like, it's a really fun place to hang out. You meet a lot of people. You get to do a lot of stuff. Like, we've ran into some really awesome people behind the avatars.
Well, even the avatars themselves are fun and awesome. All right, guys. So let's head over to the Patreons.
Alrighty, so of course we want to thank our lovely Patreons. We love our baristas. So thank you so much for your support. Beverly Walker, Mika G, Kathy, Mary Winfield, Brenda Bryant, Ashley Guest, Shannon C, Shannon D, and the ever wonderful Lady Gwendolyn. We really do appreciate you guys. We love you. If you'd like to learn more about the show, about us, about how to become a Patreon sponsor, please visit pcspnetwork.com.
Yes, and may your Wi-Fi be strong. May you remember to wear your mask, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer on top of that, and as normal, get your vaccines when they're due. Other than that, have a blessed weekend, and we will see you Tuesday at 9:30. Bye, y'all.
Good night.
Let's work. Yo, it's go time, showtime, never backing down time. One shot, yo, make it count, yo. Crunch time, shine time, make this moment my time. Get a grip, yo, ready, set, go. We bring the thunder. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's go. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Bring the thunder. Let's work. Yeah, it's my time, yo time. Step into the spotlight. Get lit, yo. Let yourself go. Our time, high time. Gotta go big time. This is it, yo. Never take no fight time. Grind time. Take it to the street time. Turn the roof off. Get loco. Game time, win time. We gon' bring it home time. No regrets now.